finally. Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties. Let's just leave it at that. Oh, time to smoke some cannabis. This is just nicotine. But it's quite good. So, what I was trying to get out of my freaking mouth before everything got disrupted is that the DEA is actually supposed to be, they're supposed to be working on figuring out if they want to recategorize cannabis into the Schedule 3 category, which would take it and put it on the same level as like Tylenol with codeine, some other prescriptions. Tylenol with codeine level. So that really wouldn't do shit as far as legalization of cannabis goes, to be quite honest. It might allow for more research to be done. It might like lessen the restrictions around like researchers, peer-reviewed research, all that type of shit. But as far as actually federally legalizing it, like Biden said he was going to try to push us into, or he wanted to legalize, it's not happening. Not with a simple recategorization of cannabis into Schedule 3. So Schedule 1 is there beside heroin, MDMA. I mean, right now, federally, marijuana, cannabis is scheduled as a more deadly, less useful, more deadly substance than fentanyl. And more so the more useful, or the less useful part, because fentanyl is utilized in the surgery and surgical rooms. It's literally what they use to balance you between life and death. But it's just crazy that marijuana is where it is. Yet you still have things like Epidiolex, which is the only pharmaceutical directly derived from cannabis in the United States. They have synthetic cannabinoids that they've derived since like 1987, dronabinol, which is Marinol, and then there's another one, Casamate, I think is how you pronounce it. There's those, which those are synthetically derived from, they're like synthetic forms of THC. And then Epidiolex is actually derived directly from isolated CBD from the Stanley Brothers rendition of the hemp plant, which is when we got our redefining of what hemp is. Not just low THC, but because the FDA needs the hemp, the CBD, to make Epidiolex, hemp now also includes the wording of high CBD alongside low THC. So the main thing they're worried about, though, is the high THC. All right, rather you don't want to have high THC. That's what they're worried about, because people are going to get high on it. But now that was prior to, the raising of CBD by the Stanley Brothers and Hippie's Disappointment, that first strain they made. But since they raised the CBD level, now they're worried about that too. Well, it's also high CBD. It was just the low THC. We didn't want people getting fucked up, but now we need the CBD. So now we're including that in the definition, because we're going to now legalize that so that we can make a medication and corner that side of the market. Thank you. That was the FDA speaking. Allegedly. You see, like I watch videos and there'll be like people with cerebral palsy who have like debilitating type seizures, and not just not like the grandma type seizures, not always. Some of them are very uh, what's the word? Traumatizing to watch, if you will. But some of the seizures that they have, they're like physical seizures, like repetitive, like where they hurt themselves or like hit themselves in the head or something like that. A few breaths of marijuana vaporized in a vaporizer, or hell, even some of them don't even use the vaporizers anymore because it's just of the association with the propaganda of everybody with fucking smoking. Oh my god, smoking, you're combusting the material. Actually, technically, in a vaporizer, you are not combusting the material. When I light this with my fire, that's combusting the material. Technically, THCA flashes over prior to combustion, which is why you can vaporize the shit in there. Once you hit combustion, that's where you get all your tar and ucky yucky shit. But if you use a vaporizer at like 410, 420, that's just below the combustion point of everything that you want in there. Now, technically, there's the combustion point, and then I believe THCA, technically, there's something about THCA in the combustion point, but it works out that the majority of the THCA can be gotten to, if you will, through vaporization, through like the volcano or what have you. Cheers. This is some frosted jungle I'm smoking here. It's frosted cake and jungle cake. And yes, I do believe it's the Jungle Boys, one of their strains. I'm always positive, if I recall. I think I seen the Jungle Boys in the information I was looking at. And then there's crazy things with the way that the law is right now. Heck, the laws around cannabis at the moment. For example, in the state here in Maryland, the hemp industry is technically controlled. They operate under federal guidelines because it's federally legalized. And like I said, the FDA, the Farm Bill, securing the future of farmers, which securing the future of the FDA to get hemp from farmers. The Farm Bill, the fuck was I just saying? Fuck me. I do that a lot. You have to forgive me. I do that a lot. A lot, a lot. I honestly just totally lost track of where the fuck what I was just saying. Oh, I don't want the electric out right now. I don't want the electric out. It's mighty windy outside. Jack Frost, go away. We don't want you no more. You've been here long enough. Go back up north. God damn, son. Fucking tornado outside. The wind gusts out of nowhere. What the hell is it just saying? It's about the FDA, the dialects, FDA. I don't remember what the fuck I was saying. Oh, Maryland, the hemp industry. They're federally like it's federal legislation that the hemp industry operates under, right? But technically, hemp is still considered cannabis. So under the state laws, technically, hemp should be being operated under cannabis law by the state, right? Because before legalization of cannabis, marijuana, it wasn't really a big deal because it was just hemp. But now that marijuana is legalized and there's state law on it, the cannabis industry, the marijuana industry, is attempting to, or was attempting to, probably still is. I know that there was some win on behalf of the hemp industry, but they were still fighting it. They're trying to get the hemp industry to operate under guidelines of the state for cannabis, for marijuana, which would put a big fucking dent and probably put a stop to many of the hemp industry, because with the hemp industry, it's not the same as marijuana. It's not as industrialized to the point where a license is $50,000 fucking dollars and you have to have several million in your pocket to be involved. And those numbers would shut out a lot of the business that's operable in the hemp industry. And there are businesses that could make those numbers happen. The point being, it's rather cutthroat. And why would the cannabis industry do that? Well, if you think about all of the Delta 8, Delta 10, fucking THCO, THCP, HHC that hit the streets because of hemp legalization, and along with that, the backing off on the research for hemp, and with that, you have the finding of how to more easily isolate, more cheaply isolate CBD, and how to even utilize the small amount of THC that's available in hemp, that 0.3%, that's where you get hexahydrocannabinol. It's a combination of derivation of CBD and isolation and extraction of that small amount of THC that's in there. So you have all that happening, and it pisses off the cannabis companies, because when people, especially here in Maryland, and this is unique probably to Maryland because of this fact regarding employment with Maryland, because employers in Maryland, even though cannabis is legalized both medicinally and recreationally in the state, employers still have the say-so to whether you are allowed to have it in your system, whether they're going to hire or fire you based upon your dirty UA or not. They still have that say-so. Regardless of if you have a medicinal card or it's from a doctor, doesn't fucking matter. They can still fire you and consider it a dirty UA. That's really fucked up. So, because you have employees who will seek out Delta 8, Delta 10, THCO, these derivations from the hemp industry so that they can get their cannabis-like high, or as close to it as they can get at the moment, without testing dirty, without pissing dirty, then that's competition for the cannabis industry, who came into Maryland, the marijuana industry, thinking that they weren't going to have any competition. I mean, they have gladly stated it and never really registered as to what they meant when they're like, well, there is no competition. It's not going to be competition. No, they're right. It's not going to be competition because the entrepreneurs are essentially forced to operate under the larger companies or be swallowed by them, which essentially they're being swallowed by them by operating under them. I don't know. I just don't understand why you can grow tomatoes and corn and everything else, but you haven't been allowed to grow cannabis. No, not for 70 years. But now that they're like, okay, well, now you guys, well, if you pay us enough money, we'll let you do it. And then so that nobody else gets mad, we're just going to let them, we'll tell everybody they can have two. But you guys are going to do it. We're going to let you do it because you have money and you're going to give us money. And this back scratching between Maryland and the cannabis industry, I don't know how it's not fucking seen and like pointed out more regularly. But $2.28 million conversion fee for a dispensary. And then the state pays back $1.5 million for every dispensary converted and $500,000 for every lab converted. So what they've done there, though, is like, to a normal person, it's like, so what? They paid them back some of the money that they helped to change the market and make things. No, what they did was beat out some of the fucking competition that couldn't afford that $2.28 million conversion fee. For example, like Cannabis, which was one of the only women-owned businesses, and I know I say it all the time, and it's because it's a fucking fair point to make. It's one of the only woman-owned cannabis businesses in the state of Maryland at the time, and it was pushed under by legislation that was supported by people like Mackie Bark from Culta, owner of Culta, and then bought out by Culta. So, yeah, this social equity legislation